I don't think quizzing is a very flexible scene in general. So I personally would think that could change. Like you could be more flexible with participants, especially people who are just coming into quizzing who don't know how you're supposed to answer, or that okay you're supposed to answer specifically like this, who might know the answer but they don't know how to frame it and how to put it across. So I think it could be more flexible, definitely, in that sense. Especially a lot of the older quizzers, they have this thing about
Yeah.
being very particular about how a
About
person
the
is
proper
saying.
nouns. Yeah.
Yeah. And being very particular about the answers and how you approach the question, like that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Whose Question Is This? Today, we have a guest who has been quizzing for more than a decade now and is a die-hard Bollywood aficionado, if we may say so. But I like the fact that she is also kind of critical about Bollywood itself. Please welcome today's guest, Debasmita Bhomik. Yay!
Do I clap for
Yay!
myself?
So, Prithvi.
Yeah. So, Devasmita, we'll just jump right into it. What are your earliest memories of quizzing? How did you start and where did it all begin for you?
My earliest memory, which I remember very clearly, it started at school. We had inter-house quizzes, and I was from the loser house, which was the red house. So in our batch, I think like because it was the loser house, there were like probably 2 or 3 who were worth anything. So for every competition, the teachers used to send us. So when quizzing started, the teachers just picked us and said that go sit, just do anything, doesn't matter. Go sit, save face. And we came second by some fluke. There were a lot of Tintin questions which I knew about, and we came second, and that just made me really overconfident about how good I can be. It's like, hey, if the loser house can win or come second because of me, maybe I can do this. So that's I think my first memory of quizzing.
And through your college, how did that come about?
So when I went to college, there's something my mother had said, and I took that very seriously. That if you go to college, don't just study, get into extracurriculars also. And I definitely did not study and was just into extracurriculars. I was in 3 or 4 societies, and there was a quizzing sock, which was a pretty small one, because it's a very small college nestled away in a small state. So there weren't a lot of people and they didn't do a lot of promotion for the quiz. I just happened to see the poster and I went for it. Did not even qualify the prelims. But I really liked the QMs. I really liked their attitude. They were just nice people. And so I kind of stuck around. I started going to everything they did. We had this thing in our college soc called Quartz, I think. It was this weekly meeting of all the members of the Qubit. That was the name of the quizzing society. And we would just share questions and try to answer. It was very informal, like behind some big tree or behind the main building, behind the cigarette shop, stuff like that. I see wherever you find space. So I liked the informality of it. And I just kept at it. And then eventually I really got better also, at least at college level, at least in my own college. So I just went with it.
Right. Just to clear, maybe I heard it wrong, but is your quiz society called Cupid?
it's Qubit. So I'm from BIT Mishra.
I also heard it as Cupid.
Yeah. So what's the name? Qubit.
It's Qubit because I'm from BIT Mishra. So QBIT. That's
as in the letter Q. Okay.
That's the letter QBIT.
Right.
It's a 4-letter name.
Okay, makes sense.
It's played anything but Cupid for people. People have broken up. Actually started quizzing in school because there was this friend of mine who was also a crush, who was like a really good quizzer. And he would discuss these questions with his fellow quizzer, and I would feel very left out. That I can't go and impress him because I don't know about these things. Even after the crush was long gone and I was not interested in him, that part still remained that, oh, maybe I should try this out. He used to talk about this a lot. So that's how I actually got interested in the idea of quizzing.
So you and Abhinav have that in common. Quizzing story start with a crush.
Not really, but okay. Yeah. So, what are your favorite quizzing moments over the years? Would you take us through some of
Favorite
them, broadly? Yeah.
quizzing moment. One was definitely where the loser house came second. That was a pretty big surprise for us as well. Would a spell bee count as a quiz?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So when we came second there, the teacher got very confident about us and she was like, oh, they are capable of something. So she sent us for spell bee as well, which was happening just the week after. And everybody was bad with spellings, just universally. Every house was so bad. And I'm not being humble, I was pretty good with English. I still am, I think. So I was the
I
only
love
one
the
who was
thread of doubt that came in. I think.
So I was the only one who was getting any answers correct. And I got very confident when I saw these people in the audience being like, wow, she knows this word. We don't even know what this means. And I think there was one word that was the winning word. It was grotesque. And half the people didn't even hear it correctly. They just went and pronounced anything and came back. And I just very confidently walked up and pronounced it, and it was correct. And I felt like this is it. This is Daddy the champion of the world feeling. And I think that was the first quiz I actually won, a spell bee. And I just took it to heart a lot. I started making spell bees my forte in the initial years of my quizzing in school and even in college when I just started out. So that was a really cool thing that happened earlier. I've kind of strayed from spell bee now. It's more like an Indian American thing in the States.
Yeah.
But that was one. There was another where I did this. Our college had this online cryptic hunt, which happened the weekend before our annual fest. And it was this very ignored, low budget thing, didn't get any promotions, nothing. So I had heard of it because I was there in the society that was conducting it. And it was actually a very grueling thing because we had competition from Romania. I don't know, there was this one guy from Romania who just kept at it. And the more I tried to answer questions, he would just keep up with it. So I think it was 33 hours of continuous quizzing there because I thought I was comfortably in the lead, but he was not letting go. So even if I wanted to take a break and go, I couldn't. So I just kept at it, and I think I was quizzing for 33 hours straight.
Yeah.
And then it ended at 4 a.m. And every time I answered the question, within like 4 or 5 minutes, he would be there. He would also be at that level. You can keep checking the scoreboard, right, where each person is. So I think at 4 a.m. finally it ended, and like I was just really pushing myself to win this because I've been up for 33 hours. It might be worth it. And yeah, that was one really cool thing because I was also the youngest winner of the cryptic hunt. And I even got this really tiny tab as a
Oh,
prize.
nice. So, one of the questions that we ask all our guests is their hosting the first ever quiz that you hosted. Do you remember where and what it was?
Yeah, so that was in college. Uh, I did the online hunt the next year, so I don't think I would count as hosting per se because I was just sitting awake in a room looking at people answering and trying to catch cheaters. But the actual live hosting I did was I think in my third year of college, and they were running short of QMs because otherwise I wasn't very involved with hosting. I just mostly went and participated, and they were running short of QMs and they needed someone to take over. And it was supposed to be just an entertainment quiz, and then it became a Bollywood quiz because I had come in with like my stash of Bollywood questions, and I was like, no, I'm taking over now. change the name. We are doing this my way. So that was the first quiz I ever hosted, and people were very caught off guard because there was nobody really who was doing Bollywood quizzes per se or really openly admitting their love for Bollywood. Everybody loves it, and people in college just aren't openly admitting it. They are still in their Scorsese Tarantino fanboying phase. So they were very caught off guard. They know the answers, but they're ashamed to say the answers. So it's also fun to observe them when I'm asking like deep gossip questions. And they're like, okay, I know this, but should I answer this? They are my friends in the audience who was watching me right now. So that was my first hosting experience. That was really fun.
So it's no secret that you love Bollywood quizzes, right? But like Bollywood quizzing, as you mentioned, is a niche topic. There are not many takers for it. And also the quality of Bollywood quizzes that we get are mostly rehash of old questions or just stuff that is irrelevant to, let's say, the current state of quizzing. So how do you go about making those better kind of questions, or what are some common mistakes that people should avoid while framing a Bollywood question?
So there are about common mistakes. I think there is this one problem, or I don't know if I should call it a problem or what, but blind items. There are a lot of people who just build questions on blind items, and half of the time they're wrong. They're just like straight up random stuff, and there's also very scandalous at times. So you can't really put those in a question. And I've seen some pretty scandalous Bollywood questions which are very clearly based on blind items, because I've been following the same source as the QM, and it's like you can make out if it's not a correct blind, but then if they just go ahead and believe it and base a question off of it, I think maybe make it more on facts or stuff that you're pretty sure about, even if you're going for a gossip based view, or rather than going completely out of the box and just making up anything because some source said it in a blind. And I've seen that a lot in Bollywood quizzing especially. And like you said, it's not really up to the mark in a lot of cases. So I've been to a lot of these Bollywood quizzes now, especially because a lot of these are online. So whenever I get the time to check out any, I do. And most of them are rehash of the old questions, and they're not competitive anymore, or like you don't feel like, oh, okay, this is something that needs to be worked out or something that I can think about. Or like long questions are great because you get a chance for a lot of red herrings and stuff, but like a lot of them read just like long paragraphs with no end, and I think it doesn't serve the purpose that you want the question to serve. And ultimately, people just give up that it's too much to read. I'm not reading that.
It's the best of us.
So that I think happens a lot.
I think something that really irks me is this. In a lot of Gen quizzes, they frame questions like this was the first thing, or this is the movie with the highest awards. And more often than not, they're completely wrong because they're obviously
Yes.
taken from some random
Wikipedia
magazine or
mostly.
Wikipedia,
Yeah.
and no one's like corroborated it with anything else. So that's something, and that gives a bad name to Bollywood for being like they're not facts around, and there are a lot of how do you say, dubious questions.
I think it's tougher to get to the facts in all India-based questions from what I've, because the archiving is not as good as some of the Western countries. I've
Yeah,
always felt that.
Even stuff like most awarded films, those are very dubious. Like, what awards are
right,
you counting? What are you even counting?
right.
There was this rumor, right? Like,
Kaho Na
Kaho Na
Pyar
Pyar Hai.
Yeah, we were going for the same fact.
But like, what was the basis of that?
Right.
Which awards? Nobody knows. So I don't think that's a very good standard to measure it by. Rather go for just like the smaller facts or trivia than like highest opening day or most number of awards, stuff like that. Superlatives aren't very reliable.
So you have done your integrated MSc in physics from Bitmesser, as you said.
Yeah,
But today you work with the Oxford University Press in an editorial position, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So did quizzing play a part in you transforming your career in that way, or was it something else?
The not really, because after a point of time, I was mostly doing very generic quizzing or end quizzing specifically. But yeah, there was this one thing. The reason why I know that OUP even exists is because we used to get GK books from OUP in school, which had Barry O'Brien and Neil O'Brien. And much later, I found out that Neil O'Brien was actually the MD of OUP. Like years ago in the 90s, he retired from working life as the MD of OUP, and that fact really blew my mind because OUP, I got to know about them from those books. Like I used to just look around the GK books and I would see OUP India printed below. So that's how I knew that, oh, this is a publication house that exists and they make the GK books for us. And of course, as I grew up, we started getting more of their books. So I realized, okay, so this is a proper publishing house. But I think apart from that, not really. I just always wanted to work in something that had to do with language or more editorial, basically, less writing and more editorial. And it just kind of fit when I applied for it.
Okay, so you have talked about a few of the quiz masters, but who are your favorite quiz masters?
Okay, uh, this is going to be very niche because none of the famous quiz masters are really a favorite. I think my all-time favorite QM is this very underrated teacher from school. She was like pretty amazing, and she's the one who really carries the baton for quizzing in school. Like she organizes quizzes and she has kept the quiz club active in school. And she very actively encourages you to go participate in inter-school competitions and stuff. And she's also a great QM. Like she's really fun and she'll interact with you really nicely and she's really encouraging. Especially since you're quizzing at school level. So she's really encouraging in that. Her name was Swagata Bakshi, and I think she was probably the coolest QM I've ever come across. It's a shame she's limited to just holding quizzes in that one school, but she was, I think, by far the best QM I've ever quizzed with.
All right. And anyone in college?
I did have quite a few great QMs in college. There was this one senior called Utsav Giri, and he used to be like this overachieving, like, just overachieving in every sense. When he used to go quiz, you would know that he's going to win, and he does win. He used to be the batch topper throughout all branches. Like he had the highest GPA. I think it was 9.6 or something, continuously for 4 years. He had gotten PPOs when he was in his second year. Like just like really crazy stuff. And then he left his all his job offers to join IM Bangalore in finance. It was like really crazy good stuff. And he was also a really nice QM. Like I think the bar for being a nice QM is pretty low in general. But he was very encouraging and like there wasn't a lot of there weren't a lot of female quizzers back then. The college had a pretty healthy sex ratio, but even then, not a lot of female quizzes, just a generic thing. And he used to encourage that a lot. Like if there were female quizzers who had come in or they were in the audience, he used to interact and he used to encourage them that, oh, you should answer this or you should try for this or we are having this event, you should come for that. So even if I couldn't answer a lot of his questions, he was just a more nurturing kind of senior who would really help you grow. And I remember he had this one quiz which I did not qualify for. I got knocked out in the prelims, but they had this one Amazon question, the A to Z long connect stuff. Yeah, and nobody in the finals answered it. I was the only one who answered it. I was in the audience. Like after the prelims, I was just sitting and watching. And so he was like extra nice to me. He was like very proud of me. Like, oh, okay, you knew that. That's great. It's a very niche thing. It was Bollywood again. It was something to do with UTV motion pictures. Some whole thing about them. He was really nice, like a nice QM, a nice club leader, just in general. And we had one more female in college. Her name was Sneha Roy, and she was also amazing because she pretty much single-handedly brought in females into quizzing, because there were no females in quizzing before her, and even in her batch she was the only one. But like Utsav, she used to actively get more girls. She would come to our rooms and she would say, oh, there's a quiz happening tomorrow or day after, you should come for it. And usually there are like first year girls who just come into college, they aren't very comfortable going into a setup that is all male or predominantly male. So she used to be that one lone female who would be welcoming you and would be being nice to you, who'd try to ask you more questions so you felt comfortable. So she was also pretty good QM. The same thing as my school teacher, very encouraging, and she was very nice to the contestants. If you're messing up or if you're just like missing the mark by a small margin or something, she'll be very encouraging about things.
I have also felt the same in my college quiz clubs, that whenever you have diversity, it brings about more diversity, because people kind of open up to the fact that yes, this group may be different from what I thought it was. And I think
You see people like you, so you think, okay, I can maybe try this out. Like I'm speaking from the point of view just like a female, because there aren't a lot of guys in quizzing. So if you see, okay, there's one girl and she's doing pretty well, she's friendly with everyone is nice to her and all that, maybe I can also be in that
yes,
position, and maybe it's not that hostile, because it's not it's not a group that you know nothing about, that you don't connect with. So that's a good thing. It's always a good thing to have more diversity of every kind, not just gender based, because other people start connecting more and they are more open to coming to quizzes. Ultimately, you want more audience in your quizzes, right?
All right. So, Devasmita, you're known for your gossip quizzes, but we'll also like to know some quizzing anecdotes or stories you've had over the years. Anything interesting?
Uh,
You don't have
Not
to take
related.
names if you don't want to.
but
Okay,
but
not
we would like names.
okay. So I think when I was in school, we had this. There was a Limca Book of Records quiz that used to happen annually, I think, and the finals were taking place at this very posh, upmarket, all-girls Catholic school in Delhi. You know it if you know it. And it was very nice, and it was like the setting was great and all. And the QM was also like this a very famous QM, very famous in general. Let's not take names. And I think the setup was taking a lot of time because one of their mics had just like zonked off. It wasn't working. So they were trying to arrange another mic, and the QM was sitting at this corner of the stage, really grumpy, and he's like this really fair guy. So he was all red and he was angry, and we didn't notice for a long time until like we saw a crowd around him and everybody's trying to pacify him. Like, oh, sorry, it will start, and we are just in the audience, we're waiting for stuff to happen. And ultimately, I think somebody brought him a Maza just to calm him down because he was really losing it. And he threw the Maza across the room. He said, I don't need a bloody Maza. Start the quiz. And nobody knew what to do. So they're like, okay, screw it, we are going without a mic. So they just went up on stage and they had the whole quiz one mic short. And even in the finals, I did not qualify for the finals. I think I was partly afraid of the QM as well. And in the finals, there was one team that did not have a mic, and they were made to sit in the center so that the QM could hear them, and they had to like bang the table and they had to answer really loudly. Everybody else is just quiet and everything, and they are the only ones who are without a mic, and they have to be like really loud and all. And he got mad even when they were being loud. Even when they did not have a mic, he got like he had a mic, so he was all like, "Please don't create a nuisance here." And like, what am I supposed to do? What the hell are we supposed to do? If they don't have a mic, they can't speak, and he just straight up shut them down. And after the quiz, he didn't stay back for the prize giving as well. He was just really mad, and he stormed off. And while storming off, he bounced off some kids, and then he tripped and he fell. And it was just a very embarrassing scene to be a part of, and the kids were all like shit. And because he was this close to losing it at 14, 15-year-olds, and then everybody who's part of the organizing committee were like, no, clear off this area, just stay away from him in general. And then he was like, he was escorted to his car and all, and his car was visible from where we were sitting, the hall, and we could see outside from the window. And ultimately, once he goes into this car, somebody brings this huge carton of Maaza filled with Maaza bottles. I don't know what the deal with Maaza was, and they gave him that, and he took it. He was very nice about the Maaza then, when nobody was watching, and then he went off. And I don't even remember any of the questions or anything. I just remember that quiz for like the day he completely lost it.
Maybe he was just paid in Mazas.
Could be. There was a lot of Maaza. I think he was given 1 or 2 cartons of like 12 or 18 Maazas. And he took all of them in his car and he left.
Devasmita, you talked about English, you being good at English generally, right? But your
Okay.
inclination is towards Bollywood. There is a
Okay,
slight mismatch for me, at least. I think I'm just, I know it's very simplistic, a very simplistic thought, but why is that, do you think? Why do you think you don't have an inclination towards Hollywood, even with your language skills, if you may?
Okay, maybe in that sense, I'm a bit of a purist. Uh, I am not a huge fan of the language, like, I'm not saying cuss words or something, just the language they use in Hollywood movies. And I'm not a huge fan of the slangs and the short forms of, like, say, want to and wanna and going to and gonna, just stuff like that. And because I work in a British publication house right now, that just gets like, it feeds that. It feeds the purist in me to be like that more. And I'm not a huge fan of that. Like, I do watch a lot of Hollywood movies, but at heart, I just connect to what's more here and what I've grown up reading. Because every morning I would be getting the newspaper from outside where the newspaper they would drop it. And I would be reading HT City back to front because that's where all the gossip is. And so that has been my habit. Like, even now, if I read a newspaper, I read it back to front. Even if it's not HT City, even if it's like a very serious newspaper. Because it's not fun if you go from front to back. You know, like, all the good stuff is over by then. But in HT City, like, the back had all the good stuff, all the gossip, whatever is happening, like India and outside India. Then you come to page 3. So I know an insane amount of page 3 celebs in Delhi as well, because HT City covered all of that. So maybe I'm just more in sync with Bollywood because of that. And my mother is a huge Bollywood buff, like big time. So every day after school when I was a kid, and while I'm having lunch, we'll just both be sitting and watching the matinee show on. And then she'll be giving me trivia that, oh, this happened. Oh, these two are having an affair. Oh, this is his daughter. So that's how I think it just stayed in me. That, oh, she gave me that bunch of knowledge, and I could just, like, now I know more from my newspaper reading. So that stuck with me. And I don't think Hollywood is not as scandalous. Just that's all I felt. Stuff is more vanilla there.
So this is like in complete contrast to how I got into Bollywood quizzing, because my mother hates Bollywood, and I got
Just for
reprimanded
her.
for reading HT City all my life. And yeah, I think I had the complete opposite curve where everyone just stopped me, and that's why I got more into it.
So my mother was not very encouraging of me reading HT City. It had a lot of adult content as well.
Yeah, I used to get like the back pages had a lot of like skimpy pictures
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes,
which
yeah.
made no sense, which had no relation to the article or anything.
Yeah.
But it'll be just very awkward every time I'd be reading it and someone else was sitting
Yeah,
there.
it was super awkward because like they could have gone for any other image, but
Yeah,
they chose to go with that image which had no relation to what they were talking about. And but that just like I just ignored the images, like not
right.
my point of interest, and I just like kept on consuming the backpage content all through then even till now. So that kind of stuff. I think the other thing about not being into Hollywood as much was because I was watching so much Bollywood with my mother. I knew these people. Like while growing up, I know who a lot of 70s actors are, but I won't know the same for Hollywood because I haven't really watched their films. So the interest kind of
Yeah.
inclined
From the comfort
towards,
level also. Yeah.
yeah. And by then when you're growing up, you're hearing more about these people or you're seeing their faces on hoardings more, so you know these people. So maybe that's why.
All right, we'll move on to the next question. So, Devismita, what do you like about quizzing?
The act of quizzing.
Yeah,
For me, like I said, I'm more into quizzing than hosting. So I really like when you're given just some tidbit in the form of a question, and then you have to work it out. It really, I like to think of it like that. That it really encourages my uh, inner detective because that's how I'm thinking. Like, oh, okay, this happened, so this happened. Sometimes, if I know the QM, I'm like, oh, what kind of a question is this QM likely to come up with, and go like that. So I really like that it lets me be that person, or lets me work my mind like that, like connect things and piece together whatever I have in my head. I really like that whole act of guessing the answer, and even if I don't know the answer, or say it was something completely different than what I would have guessed, it's a new piece of information. And I think over time, from being to quizzes or attending quizzes, I have learned about a lot of things I would never have come across otherwise, because you're not very likely to read up just randomly new things by yourself unprompted. And going to quizzes just introduces you to these things. Even for Bollywood or movies in general, there were a lot of things you wouldn't know, and they introduced me to a lot of new concepts as well. That okay, I didn't know this happened, or I didn't know this is the tax haven of the world, or stuff like that. So that is one thing I really like about quizzing, that it introduces me to new topics, because there's very little chance you would come across them by your own. And as we grow older, we don't really get the time to just sit back and just keep scrolling the internet endlessly. So it kind of helps because it's like a concise, say 15 question set, and you'll get like you're introduced to a lot of topics in those 15 questions, like that.
And what are some of the things that you'd like to change about quizzing?
I think like some quizzes become uh, too pedantic in nature. Like there are a lot of times I've seen that even if the contestants know the answer, maybe they're not framing it exactly correctly, or maybe they're off by the exact thing. Like they don't know what it's called, but they know what the thing is. And some QMs, and it happens a lot of times that they are very particular about how it's supposed to be. So they want it just like that, and then they won't give you the marks or they won't give you the scores. I don't think quizzing is a very flexible uh, scene in general. So I personally would think that could change. Like you could be more flexible with participants, especially people who are just coming into quizzing who don't know how you're supposed to answer, or that okay, you're supposed to answer specifically like this. Who might know the answer, but they don't know how to frame it and how to put it across. So I think it could be more flexible, definitely, in that sense. Especially a lot of the older quizzers, they have this thing about
Yeah.
being very particular about how a
About
person
the
is
proper
saying.
nouns. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
being very particular about the answers and how you approach the question, like that. And again, the very common problem is the sexism in quizzing and the lack of female representation. That, I think, like, people have taken note of that, but it would be nice to actually see it happening where you have a sizable number of females quizzing. Because I don't think I've seen a lot of college level female quizzes, at least back when I was in college. Now maybe they're more open about it, and maybe even the women are more forthcoming about participating in quizzes. So I'm hoping it's better. But at least back when I was in college, we had, say, like about 10 to 12 male quizzes in a batch and like 2 female quizzes. Even when, which is why I said it, that even though my college had a pretty healthy sex ratio. So even then. So that could definitely change.